Hey guys, this is Mayank and Prashant, and welcome to our weekly podcast. Like today, we are going to discuss about many things like open source contribution, the difference between JavaScript and TypeScript, some of the organization which you can get started as a open source contributor. Then we will be talking about a CSS property called Grid and FlexBox. Both looks very similar, but have a minimal difference, but they can be a game changer. So let's get started with today's podcast. So Prashant, tell me what you did this week and how interesting was this week for you.
Hello guys, and hello to all the guys whose countries have won medal on the first day of Olympics. And I guess everybody knows that our first silver medal is in our pocket.
Yeah.
Now let us begin with our topic of discussion.
Hmm.
So, firstly, last week what I did, I most of the time went into doing the college stuff, and secondly went into the learning of microprocessor as I should not say, but teacher is not that good. But like maybe I may not be able to learn like understand it.
Hmm.
But I think he's rushing a bit. So most of my time went into learning microprocessor and learning like register, flag registers and stuff. Then understanding how emulator 8086 works.
Hmm.
Then I continued with my free code camp that responsive website web course, and like 95% is done, and two of my projects is done. Now only three are left.
Hmm.
Then DS and then a JavaScript ES6 I got started with it properly now, and yeah, that's and this GitHub I explored more. Like now I have made my README part also, like in the start how to code does those things, and how to merge, and in Git I learned those things, and these things I done.
Oh,
So what's about you?
so like you got started with the basics of Git, and you made. Yeah, to be honest, today I saw your profile. At what around 2, I opened GitHub for looking for some. Even today's podcast topic, some free source, beginner friendly repos. That's when I saw you made a new what do you say, a repo. I saw. Then I
That
saw
was it.
there was
Yeah,
a hi there kind of read me profile. So, yeah, that's good. That's cool.
yeah,
As much as you see other profiles, you will get to know how to customize it even more. You have seen mine. I learned to
yeah.
customize
That
it.
from there only I just
Oh,
yeah
from that.
seeing yours, then I learned like yeah.
Oh, cool,
Then I
cool.
googled it like how it's here that how to build profile in GitHub. Then
Okay.
I saw that like you have to put down your like in the repository, create a new repository, put down
Yeah.
your username there, and
Username,
this
yeah,
comes.
exactly, exactly. Initially, I thought it's a very difficult task because when I got started, there were many like had these complex and fancy kind of readmes. Like, how do you get started? I just googled it. Like, you have to do nothing, just make a repo with your username, and they will be bang in front of your
Boom.
what do you say, in
Yeah.
front of your profile. There will be a readme. So yeah, last week was good. I think on Wednesday there was a holiday, so it had been a while since I went to a vacation, so that I took that one day off. Other than that, right now I'm working on this project as we were discussing before the start of the podcast. This as coders and developer, when you write blogs, so there is always this blog that pops up, five documentaries or web series that you should recommend to a developer. So I've seen this problem, like developers when they are lazy, not lazy, like when they are free or in the time they want to see some documentary and stuff like that. So what I did was I used this TMDB database that's up there on the internet. With the use of its API, I've fetched some, I've selected some movies or web series, and I've made a website in which there will be all the movies which are I would recommend to a coder. When you are free, go and check that. So right now it's work in progress, but I think in a week or so that site would be live. Let's see how it works. So, and other than that, I joined a organization, EddieHub. That's a fantastic place to get started with open source contribution. I will, when we will go in that part of the discussion about open source contribution, I will be talking about that particular community. I think that's a top community. Other than that, yeah, I learned some things. I learned some things about React, a bit of React here and there, which I didn't knew. I brushed up on some ES6 topics. Other than that, yeah, it was a nice week. Then college is college, as we all know. Learned as with along with you, I'm learning about EMU 8086 processor. I don't know why in 2021 we are learning a processor which was made in 1987 or 1980s. It doesn't make sense to me, but that's how we our work and our college. That's not a problem of our college. I think every college in India works like this. They will teach us
Yeah.
languages of dinosaur. Like I don't know why we talked C when we started. C is like, if you go on Twitter and ask someone how old is C, they say C is for dinosaurs. You should learn C plus. I don't know why they get started with these kind of old technology, but that's how it is. So yeah, I think that's enough introduction to how our week went. So let's get started with our
Yeah.
first topic today, which is open source contribution. So Prashant, as a newbie, not even as a newbie, like open source contribution is think like even top professionals or people who are into this industry for what 2 3 years don't find it very easy to get started with. As your personal experience, how what is kind of how do you feel about open source contribution? Do you think it's a nice thing, or do you think it's a waste of time, and at that time you might go to your own development, or how do you see open source contributions? Like, what's your view on it?
Yeah. Open source. Yeah. Open source contribution, great thing. Like if somebody is not getting an internship,
Yeah,
so this is like a very good thing to do. Like you can upskill yourself a lot. Just to go the like open. What is open source? I will say that like some softwares don't issue their license, and then they have this like they put their all source code on the internet for like for everybody to see it, and people who just can go find the issues there and simply like on the if it's on the GitHub, there are issues like in the on the GitHub profile on the GitHub you can just click on the source code, and in the code you can, in the portfolio you can click on the issues part, and there you can see the bugs, and just you can just click one of the get it forked on your laptop and in your like local storage, and then you can improve it, worked on it, and while like a few people also find bugs while working on it, so you can also tell the repository like on the owner of the product owner product owner of the product
repo kind of
that's
repo.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that repository owner of the repository, that these are the new issues which I have found, and you can suggest him to make those changes in the source code, and if that guy likes that and amend those so changes in his source code, and that's what is called contribution. Like if you can just make changes, but until and unless that the repository owner doesn't make changes in the source code, till then it's like not a uh, contribution.
yeah, yeah.
So that's in the nutshell. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get what you're, telling about like owner. What you are referring to, like pull request. When you make a
yeah, pull
issue,
request. Yeah,
so
yes,
the
and pull it.
maintainer, the owner of the repo means the maintainer of the repo, the one who is the maintainer of the particular repo. So the maintainer has to take in the pull request, so that since when you make a contribution in a project, you fork the the first thing you do is on the top left of that particular GitHub page, you will see an option of
Yeah,
fork. You fork it to your local machine, make changes. So but the moment you fork it, there's a different branch that gets submerged. So a git goes like this: the moment you get a different branch, you work on that branch, and then you give a pull request. Pull request means the particular branch that took off, it will be pulled by the owner. The moment the branch is pulled, it will be again on the git line on which everybody is working. The pull request, you have the via forking it, you are indicating a pull request, and then you say, when the moment you say to compare the two branches, you are telling the maintainer to pull the request and put it in the same branch. Then you make a contribution. That's how you start making it. I know what you understood, what you were how
yeah,
what you were just missing those terms of the owner and making contribution. The pull
pull
request is
request.
the
Yeah,
maintainer of the particular. I understood what you were saying. So even do you want to add something more on it? What you added?
yeah,
Yeah, like.
like see like unlike the competitive programming, it will not help you directly in your job profile, like getting your jobs, but indirectly it will help. Like CP is the part which tells you like what, like it's a ABCD, it's like English, like learning the English part, and the open source contribution is exactly what you will be doing in the industry. So if you're ready with open source contribution, that's the main thing. Like there you can apply your skills, and you can see like how practically things are being done, like reading all the source code and like relating it with like how it will be seeing in the website, like how that product will look like, what the function of every statement is. Like getting every like even 80 to 90%, if you can understand, that's a good thing. Uh, so yeah, that. And then GSOC, I will say, if you want to like convert it into a something good, GSOC, Google source summer of code, that's the thing where there you can just like even get something out of it. So for that, I think from March to April, there where the this form opens up. So you can, but for preparation, you must go like from November on December, you just start shortlisting the company, and you must start with the start contribution on their portfolio, like in the GitHub. So while shortlisting, those mentors will the chances of getting selected is higher then. So then these are like Google source of GSOC is very big thing, but you can start with Gulf script, summer of code, and winter of code. Like it will be coming in this 3 months. It will be there for September, October, November, I guess. So there you can, we all can apply. Then yeah, that's all. Like there you can make the and the people who find like for the beginners who wants to make a good source open source contribution, they can go on GitHub, go in the issue part, and there just type good. Like then you will get the easier so issues where you can easily like make some good contribution also, and it will be counted then.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's all, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to add up to that. If someone is, trying to get started with it, there's like good first what to say, first issue, first contribution kind of label. There is good for yeah, good first issue is a label. You can search for docs. I think docs is a very good way to get started in open source contribution.
Yeah,
Everyone
this
can't go straight into a JavaScript or React file and just make contribution. Go to docs. Docs is a very good way of get started with contribution. Good first issue, good first contribution kind of this. There is one label that you can get started with, and there are like many more. Easy is a way. Easy is a label. You can go and search easy, so you will find it. So I would like to add up to
and
what.
yeah,
Go on.
on the stuff on the Google summer of code also, you can just go and there in the project, like previous organization which took part in the previous GSOC, you can go in the project, type there like in the in the domain you want to contribute. So if you guys from AML, just type in the search bar AML, then they will get the project last year projects. If you are into JavaScript, then type JavaScript, you will get the projects, and then fork it in your laptop and just start working on it. So that's, you can get it hand on experience.
Yeah, I will agree. I think everything you said, makes 100% accurate points. What you said. I would like to add up to this, as what I feel about open source contribution. Like literally everything I use today in my entire life on the computer is open source. VLC is open source. Chrome is open source. React, on which we are working, are open source. JavaScript is open source.
Linux.
Linux, like he's a different. I have to come on Linux on different. I've like literally made a whole segment on only on Linux. These
And
all things are open
even
source.
emulator 8086 is open
That's
source.
open source. Exactly. Everything is open source. So open source, these people without the what you say, the what you can say, the greed of money, they are putting just software on the market so that everyone out there in the world, without spending a penny, they can get started with these things and learn and make their career. Open source is a way to get started. Like I how I say open source. When there's always this guy in the class who is very smart. He knows everything and he helps everyone during exams by making them cheat.
Yeah,
He gets nothing. He literally, because he knows if he doesn't want to share the information, he won't share and he will still be first. He will share so that no
yeah,
one gets bad marks. I see open source as that. That's why I love open source. Open source is a thing via which you can get started and help anyone. People like Linus Torvald, the one who made Linux. If he wanted to make Linux a thing, Linux would have been better than Windows or Mac. Believe me, because Linux is better than Windows and Mac. Windows is
yeah.
paid, Mac is paid, but Linux is free. Linux, and there's so many, you can customize Linux. There are Ubuntu, Kali for hacking, everything. People, that's why I feel like open contribution and open contribution, that community is such a wonderful community because you can, you know,
Best
open source,
community.
yeah, open source communities can help you to get jobs, can make money, can literally shape your whole life on free. So as a developer, for me, what you can if you ask me what I'm most reliant on is open source. People don't even know how much open source play daily to daily, how important is open source for them. Everything that you download from Play Store, in which you don't have to pay money, is kind of open source. You don't have to pay anything for it. Like premium
Yeah.
feature, excluding the premium features, you don't need to pay for anything. Linux plays such a big part in in mobile industry. People don't even know about that. People know that, yeah, we use Apple, we use Samsung and this
Android.
and that. But in every phone there is such a big part of Linux, but no one ever knows. Half of the people, half what 99% of people don't even know the name of Linus Torvald. He's a legend, absolute legend, and he is the one who started the open source, what you said, the movement back in the 1990s. There are many. If you want to go and search about open source, go and go and search about them, because these are little heroes. They have saved our life, and those are the reason why there are so many big developers and good developers out there in the world. So yeah, let's since would you like to add something more about how you feel about open source?
Yeah, like I feel in the end that you said like you can help to get jobs. Like directly you won't get, but the networking which you will build around, that's the thing which open source contribute. Like open source helps a lot to build that connection. So
Yeah.
indirectly it will help. Directly it may not, like how DSA and CP will do,
Hmm.
but indirectly it will help a lot.
A
A
lot.
lot means a lot.
Yeah, exactly. People who rely on open source gives them back. You give a issue, you contribute to open sources contribute your career back. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like now since we have talked so much about open source, now let's discuss some of the the repository. As a beginner, you can go and get started with open source, because when the moment you dive in the world of open source and contributing to open source, it's so confusing and complex, that's why people don't get started. Everyone wants to contribute in open source, but the problem with open source is that it's so, what you say, complicated and hard to get started, so that the moment beginner gets started and he gives up on it immediately. This is a very big myth that in open source you have to get started with writing code. It's not important. You can literally get started by when you go and read the README, the docs of a particular software. If you're reading a
Yeah.
doc and you go through a grammatical mistake or a spelling mistake, the moment you go and change that code, that's also a contribution. So you are literally contributing
Yeah.
to it. Contribution is not only, what you say, code specific. Contribution can be anything. There is a guy who contributed to React by adding two spaces. Only two spaces he contributed to React Facebook. One of the biggest, open source software out there in the world. He just added two spaces and he's now contributed to React. Just think how crazy it is. That's how you get
Like yeah,
started.
it's good thing. Like on the I mean, like people which I follow on YouTube also, they also said like even if you bring down from 10, like the compilation time from 10 seconds to 8 seconds, that's a big thing.
Big thing, big thing, because the thing that you are doing, you are seeing a very small scale amplification. The moment the
Yeah.
scale goes big, those 2 seconds will become 20 minutes, and a 28-minute gap will cost a a big company billions and millions dollars. So that's those minor things will save big companies what a fortune. That's why uh, what you see is a 2 second save, but for what company sees a $2 billion save. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fair play to them. So, now we will be looking to some of the very famous open source software which are beginner friendly. A beginner can go get started with. Do you have some names, Prashant? Have a research on
Yeah,
it?
I've just seen like two. I've seen, yeah, so you've seen two. Like the one is the up for grid. Like I've committed those changes. I like let us see those changes are accepted or not. Up for grab. Then 24 pull request. Then Hacto
Hacktober.
Hacktoberfest. These, yeah, these three places. Like Hacktoberfest, I've not made any comments, but like I've seen, I heard a lot of it about it. But those two I've made the comments. Let us see they accept it or not.
Yeah, to be honest, I will tell you what Hacktoberfest is. Hacktober. What the first thing comes in your mind when you say Hacktober? Like, what is the combination of Hacktober? Hacktober has two
Fest.
words in it. Two words in it. Hacktober has two words in it. Can you guess the two words? It's very easy. Very easy.
Hack, I guess.
Yes. Yes, hack and another one.
Hack to Hack to and something like for the betterment, like guess.
No,
Hack
no,
for
no.
something
I will
betterment.
tell you what Hacktober is. Hack and October.
Okay,
So
okay.
this is a kind of digital. Have you heard about the name of DigitalOcean?
No, no.
I've never heard about DigitalOcean. So DigitalOcean is a company which is what you say. How can I say what DigitalOcean is? DigitalOcean. Have you heard about AWS, Amazon Web Services, the one that hosts
Yeah, that's
yeah. So
yeah,
this
that's happened. Yeah.
also a hosting site where people host their.
Okay, okay.
It's kind of server. It's a server.
Server provider.
Yeah,
Okay,
server provider. Exactly. So
okay.
DigitalOcean does is that every October they come up with this competition called Hacktoberfest, on which all over the world every developer has a 1 month period, and they have to contribute the whole month to what some 10 commits or 10 pull requests. If they are able to do that, they will send they do get a Hacktober badge, and they get some stickers and some goodies from. So the organization started this this program to get every developer get started with open source contribution. So this is a
Open.
very good
Nice one,
initiative. I
nice one.
think this the previous year it was the second Hacktoberfest. Yeah, this year will be the third Hacktoberfest ever to be conducted. So yeah, you have in October
Surely we're
started.
participating now.
Get started. Yeah, in October you
Yeah.
have to participate in the Hacktoberfest. So yeah, I heard about Hacktoberfest. Yeah, so what were the other two? 24 pull request and
Yeah. Up for grabs and up for grabs.
up for grabs.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, even I have some good repos. If a beginner wants to get started with, what open source contribution and stuff like that, there are some, great repos which you can get started. One of them is Free Code Camp. We all know the name Free Code Camp, right? So Free Code Camp
Yeah.
has a repo at GitHub at which they call young developers, beginners who want to get started with contribution to come and contribute to our docs. So what they do is like they have this website on which we go and take all the certificates, right? The free code.
Two courses. Yeah.
Yeah. So they come and call. You can do any kind of contribution. You can either go in the docs, make contribution there. They have different languages, so English, Portuguese, Japanese. If you know one of their languages, they can go and change the language, and you can make it better. Since we know Hindi, we can go and make the
We
whole
can do.
repo in Hindi. That would be a great addition. But the problem is that I suck at Hindi. I don't know anything about it.
Same here.
So
We
yeah,
just is
but
like a mother tongue, but we don't know any grammar there.
like the grammar, the Hindi grammar is like so bad that I won't even try because that will be insult or being an Indian that you don't know Hindi that good. So yeah, you can go on Free Code Camp's repo. It has amazing number of stars on it. Go and check that out. You can, if you find something good to contribute, go and contribute. I think that's a very good repo to get started. The second repo I will be talking about is Prettier. We all know Prettier, the VS Code extension Prettier, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so even on Prettier's repo, you can go and contribute because they are open to contribute. I think Prettier has good amount of stars. I just saw. I think it has some 40 likes on the repo. Since Prettier is open source also, so you can go and contribute on Prettier. I think that's a fantastic place to get started as a beginner. There's another repo called React Spring. So I'm pretty sure you won't have heard about React Spring.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what React Spring is that? So React Spring is an animation library that we can add in what do you say React project. So you see some website with these strange animations. The moment you enter the website,
Open it. Yeah.
yeah, generally those animations are from React Spring. So you can go and check the repo. You can contribute there. So there is another repo. This is a kind of thing I will be talking about much more in later episodes. Called Svelte. Have you heard about Svelte? Svelte, Svelte. So
Oh,
in 5 years, the kind of hype TypeScript has today will be the same of Svelte. Svelte is amazing, dude. Like I think Svelte is the next step to what you say web development. Like another JavaScript, TypeScript, Next.js. Svelte is amazing. I listened to this podcast, Syntax podcast, on which there are two fantastic developers, Wes Boss and Scott Polinsky. Like in every 10 minutes, Scott Polinsky will talk about Svelte. So now, because of him, I've lately I've started to look what Svelte is and why is there so much hype about it. Even on Twitter, and if you go on Reddit and talk about Svelte, like there are people talk about all those good stuff about Svelte is this, Svelte is that. I was looking to Svelte, and I believe me, I see a very big what potential Svelte to dominate web development. So when you are free, or when you have get started and are comfortable with React, I would say go and check out Svelte once. Not because every
Yeah,
company,
sure.
like big companies are not really taking it to, it's not for a to get a job or something like that, just to keep yourself updated with what's coming new, because in 5 or 6 years we never know, Svelte might have taken over
Yeah.
web development. And the last but not the least, I would be talking about EddieHub. EddieHub is an organization. Go at GitHub and search for EddieHub. So there's this guy called Eddie. He's a developer from UK London, London UK. So he's a
Yeah.
very nice guy. He's very much into open source contributions. He has made this organization called EddieHub. You can go give a issue that I want to join the organization. They will get you in, and the moment you join that organization, there will be people talking about open source and contributing to open source. So you'll be in a very good environment. As you will talk a few minutes ago, we were talking about Hacktoberfest, right? So today I opened the
Yeah.
organization. So there is another repo on which people together are working on a repository which they have made called Hacktoberfest test, kind of like practice for the practice, how they will contribute on stuff like that. So they have made. So I would say EddieHub is a very good organization. Go and join up GitHub if you are on GitHub, and if you are not on GitHub, just go and make an account on GitHub right now, because you are wasting your time if you are not on GitHub right now. You are
Yeah.
listening to this podcast.
Before Instagram, you should be like
Yeah,
making out
exactly.
there.
As a developer, not as a model or actress or something like that, you have to make an Instagram page before GitHub page. But if you are a developer, you have to make a GitHub account before Instagram. That's for sure. Yeah, I think we are done with this topic, or would you like to add something more, Prashant?
Yeah, that's all from my
Yeah,
side. That's all. Yeah.
yeah. So in total, the repos which we talked about is upgrade,
Yeah, upgrade, then Hacktoberfest. That's what I heard about, and Graph for all.
graph for all.
Graph for up, I guess. I forgot the name. I have to open
Okay.
it up again. I just
So
they can rewind it and see.
okay. I will put the link in the description if someone has to check it.
Yeah, I was
Then
sent it. I think yeah, repository link.
yeah, and then there were like five repository which I talked about: Free Code Camp, Prettier, React, Spring, Svelte, and join this community called EddieHub. I think these would be enough to as a beginner to get started with it.
Yeah.
So moving to our next topic, which is CSS. That that I see web development as these three trinities. As in Hindu philosophy, there are three trinities: Vishnu, Brahma, and
Brahma
Shiva.
Mahesh.
Shiva. So Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. So these three trinities. I see web development has these three trinities as well: HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. CSS is the
Yes.
Shiva. It destroys everyone.
Destroys the confidence.
Yeah, destroy the company to anyone. So, so today we were talking about CSS Grid and FlexBox in detail. So, what do you understand by the difference between CSS Grid and CSS FlexBox?
Like everything comes down like how you want to align your, how to make your like layout of your container. So that's where grid and flexbox comes. So suppose visualize square is there, and like if you want to put some about, then contact, and anything like that, like let the other box to be of date of birth, like just like for example. So if the it's for the grid part, you can visualize these are the like there are squares there. Complete my face is the square. You can visualize. These are the two cells. You can just call it. And for the grid, I guess for the grid, if this is the third cell, these two will align below it. Like this much space will, this much of space will be leave will be left empty. like it's not the auto filling, like it's not like auto fillings type. But for the flexbox, if it's there, it will align automatically. This was extension, it will get like the container will be filled.
Hmm.
That's the main thing. And of course, like it's like grid is 2D, like two dimensional, and
Yeah,
flex
exactly.
is one
One
dimensional.
dimension. Yeah.
So like how I use it, I use grid in flexbox. I think like yeah, that's how I use it.
Gotcha. Yeah, you can use both simultaneously, and it,
Yeah,
it it will help you a lot. If you use grid and flexbox in the same CS property, you can use them. You can really make it work. But it's a bit complicated to do that. If you are master in
yeah,
CSS, it will be very easy and it will be helpful for anyone.
yeah.
I would
Like
like to
getting some mentor will be good. For to me, Angela Humam told me, like she explained me how to use it properly. So getting like learning from somebody, it will be good. Like learning on your own, it will be tough. See some YouTube video and something like that. So it will be easier to learn it
Yeah,
using
exactly.
these two together,
Mhm. I get
using
what
it
you're
together.
saying. I get what you're saying. So yeah, a CSS grid is more of a, as you said, 2D. What is it? It has a two-dimensional positioning, so it can have
Column
elements
and row.
in columns as well as in rows. But the problem with Flex is that either you have it in columns or either you have it in rows. So Flex is more
Yeah,
of a one-dimensional positioning, and Grid is two-dimensional positioning. This is like the main difference between Grid and a Flexbox. You can use both in the same, as Prashant said. You can use it. I was going through this tutorial in which they were talking about CSS, the difference between CSS Grid and CSS Flexbox. So in that they went into depth about this topic. So what they did was they initially put everything in by the use of Flex. They put everything in a what you say for row, and
container.
then used a grid box to put it out in columns as well as row. With the help of it, they made it look pretty good. But yeah, this is like the main difference between a grid box and a flex box. A grid box is more of a 2D, has a 2D positioning, and flex box has a 1D positioning. I think for me, if you ask me which I would prefer, I would rather prefer grid. Believe me, I would prefer grid
Yeah,
above
like you
flex
can add
box.
both columns and rows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And Flexbox is a bit annoying because sometimes if you miss one line of code, it will like literally destroy everything. And sometimes it's so disheartening. It frustrates you sometimes. CSS is that's why people hate CSS, because it frustrates you at the end of the day. Everything is right. You have put one line above something. And since CSS has this thing, if you put a line before a particular line, it will have effect on it. So that's why I said, come on, CSS sucks. But CSS is a very essential part of web development also. So if you
yeah.
want
For
something, you
styling,
have to
that's one
accept
thing.
the good and bad things for them. That's
And then for the grid, I in the project which I made,
hmm.
I preferably like both the things I used like simultaneously. And for the nested, like in the grid layout, you can use for the nested part. Like in the cell only, you can make some do some nesting.
Hmm.
So that also looks very good. Like it depends upon how they want to design the website.
Hmm.
So that's on the person. Like that's how I used it on my project.
Yeah, I can get what you say. So that's why I say, it depends on how good a CSS developer you are. That's like the main differences between Grid and Flexbox. Grid is, I'm repeating myself like the third time I'll be saying this. Grid is a two-dimensional positioning system, and Flex is a one-dimensional positioning system. This is like the main difference. Like there is no other big difference between Flex and Gridbox, is it?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
it is like for the layout, like how to you are planning to make the layout.
Hmm.
And then for the flexbox is like input, like content orient. Like you can just like set the this is the column. You just put down the data you wanted in it. And but for the grid, you visualize these things beforehand only, like how you want your layout to be look like.
Hmm.
So that's how like grid is like layout first, and the flex was like content first, you can say.
Yeah. That would be a nice point added, a nice added point to it. CSS and the difference between CSS and grid, exactly. Yeah, so I think that's enough for CSS. The difference between minor CSS and Flexbox.
Yeah,
Yeah. So now we will be moving to our next topic, like what is the main
Java.
difference between JavaScript and TypeScript? First of all, Prashant, I will get started with you. Like, what do you feel is different between JavaScript and TypeScript?
Like TypeScript came after JavaScript. Like it was a, you can say a JavaScript plus the features of ES6.
Exactly.
That's what makes it our TypeScript. And both in the like when you go to the server side, that's where TypeScript comes in,
Exactly.
because
Exactly.
I guess JavaScript is like a scripting language,
Hmm.
and you cannot have oops in JavaScript
JavaScript,
objects
exactly.
or like variable. So that's where TypeScript comes in. But in the faced a lot of like what I read on the dev community there.
Hmm.
People are not very much in the like people use it, but many don't even, because the API doesn't work there. Then there are not so much of, you can now like libraries, you don't have so much of libraries.
Hmm.
Then these things which are like main is was the API, like API doesn't work there, so people don't use TypeScript there. Like few people are against it and few are in support of it.
Hmm.
Currently I've not used TypeScript, but Java, I'm using JavaScript only. So I don't know, but that's what I've read on the different websites from senior developers.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I do agree from many of the things that you have said. I was absolutely right about it. So, why was JavaScript required when we already had, why was TypeScript required when we already have JavaScript? This is, a thing which straight away came to my mind. Why do we need TypeScript when we had JavaScript? So, when I think it was what, late 20, yeah, late 2020, about what, November, December, I came to know about TypeScript for the first time. So I started coding around November. So I came to know about TypeScript around December and stuff like that. So I thought, right now I'm learning JavaScript. So now I have to stop learning JavaScript and now I have to learn a new language called TypeScript. Wow, what a shame. I have spent so much money on this course and everything has went to vain. But I now, with passage of time, I can understand why Java TypeScript was required. So, when initially JavaScript was made, JavaScript was introduced as a client-side programming language. But
Yeah,
as people started coding it more and more, they realized that it can be used as server-side programming language as well. But the problem with JavaScript was, with the moment JavaScript code started to get bigger, it failed to really give that server side rendering, SSR, which we call server side rendering.
yeah,
And that was the main reason why JavaScript TypeScript was made, so that
TypeScript.
that particular side SSR can be enabled more. JavaScript became more of a client-side rendering, language rather than a server-side rendering. And with the main thing which comes with SSR is that SSR makes your website very fast compared to what you say, a non-SSR what you say language. JavaScript is a non-SSR language, and TypeScript. That's why there are many people who are against because of that API thing, but there are many people are in love with, absolute love with TypeScript just because it makes it so easy. Other than that, JavaScript was never a OOPS language, object-oriented programming language. On the other side, TypeScript is trying, and to a very certain extent, they are very much successful to, what you say,
Yeah,
become a OOPS language. Would you like to add anything, Prashant? Looks like you want to add
yeah,
something.
that's like Java. I'm mainly a JavaScript user, so I don't know how to like. I think the syntax is nearly same only.
Exactly. The
Just
syntax is like same, like the whole syntax is same.
yeah,
JavaScript and TypeScript are literally same. So, like how I would explain to you. So, you see, I will be talking about in the terms of sets. So, like TypeScript is the superset and JavaScript is in it. So,
subset.
if
Yeah,
yeah, if you know JavaScript, if you know TypeScript, you know JavaScript. If you know JavaScript, then you don't know TypeScript, because TypeScripts come with additional features of JavaScript. Like, if you want to
yeah,
jump from JavaScript to TypeScript, is pretty easy, because you just need to add some new features to your own knowledge. So it's not really a new language that you have to come across, but some additional features would make your website look very cool. One of these are like the major things between TypeScript and JavaScript. I would like to add some more things, like TypeScript is, I said that TypeScript is as known as a OOPS language, whereas JavaScript is more
yeah,
of a scripting language. Other than
Yeah.
that, TypeScript has this, static typing, which JavaScript doesn't have. They have, and TypeScript also has an interface which JavaScript lacks. I think these are like the
Yeah.
yeah major differences between JavaScript and TypeScript. So, I think I would even recommend you, because I have this on my checklist. The moment you get good at JavaScript and you have worked with one or two, what do you say, frameworks like React or
Projects.
Vue
Frame.
or
Yeah.
anyone like Angular, stuff like that, go and learn TypeScript, dude. Believe me, it's exactly same, and TypeScript is, I would say, much better. And when we will be sitting, or our batch or our age people will be sitting at jobs, I think TypeScript will be a very big need. TypeScript is like every good developer right now is learning TypeScript. So TypeScript is really good because you don't need to really add so much
New
code.
technology. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like the way they added ES6 in JavaScript back in 2015. Yeah,
15, 16. Yeah.
yeah, 2015-16. They added ES6 in it. They added some new features, but the whole fundamental was exactly the same. TypeScript is a bit more than that, but essentially what you are doing is you are adding more stuffs into JavaScript, which is making TypeScript. I think this is like the main fundamental. And I would TypeScript is much better, much faster, not easier, I would say, but yeah, more
More
compatible. And
things it will do,
yeah, it will make
and more
your
things it will do.
yeah, it will make as a web developer and even as a client side, it will make the website load faster and work faster and make a very good experience. And since TypeScript is supported by in all the frameworks also, it is supported in Vue, it is supported in React, it is supported in Angular. So why not have a check, have a try of it? It's a fantastic thing. So, I would like, I think this is enough for today. We would like to, wind up our weekly
Wind up.
podcast on this note. I think to all of
Yeah.
you who are, showing support to this channel, we are very thankful for it. Do like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I and Prashant both will be very thankful for that. Would you like to add something, Prashant, to our viewers?
Yeah. That's thank you for watching it, and you can go and see our GitHub profiles and social
Yeah,
media handles, and you can like who don't have any contacts, that they can watch it. Like people who are in contact, obviously they have our numbers,
yeah,
so they are in contact only, and most of them are in the contact people. But anybody who is new to this channel can check our GitHub profile, and we can get in touch
yeah,
and like
exactly, exactly.
make some good
GitHub
profiles.
profiles, Twitter profiles, you can get in touch with that. We don't really like LinkedIn, that's why we don't put our LinkedIn
Yeah.
profiles. So yeah, I think on this note we will be ending this episode. I and Prashant are thinking about making a midday podcast. I'm not sure how well it will go, but if something happens, you will be seeing a podcast at Wednesday if things go to plan. If things go to plan,
Well,
which is very much unlikely when our colleges are on. So yeah, let's see how things go. So yeah, okay, bye. Thanks for watching and do like, share, and subscribe. Bye bye.
bye bye. Thank you guys.